Let's just start the golf here. Xander Schauffele owes me half his paycheck. I can jinx or reverse jinx anybody better than anybody in the entire world. The guy is the biggest choker in the sport. I think he, coming into the PGA Championship, he hadn't won a major.
Nope.
And he was 2 of 8.
2 of 9.
Well, yeah.
With the lead going into the last day,
Going
right?
in with the 54-hole lead.
Yeah.
2 of 9.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he's nails. He makes everything. It's like 7, 8-footers for par, 10-footers for birdie, whatever he needs. He makes everything. Gets up and down, putt lips in, wins. If it wasn't for me saying that, there's 0% he holds on the lead. And he does exactly what I told everybody in the podcast. He's going to get a top 5. He's going to end up in second place. Truth be told, I was at the Brahmas game yesterday, and I was watching the Brahmas and the PGA on my phone as much as I could.
I was watching him,
and I was like, man, it looks like he is comfortable and he is going to win. I think it really came down to him having a very, very comfortable pairing with Morikawa. The guys are friends, and Schauffele, with his newfound length, comparatively, hits it further than Morikawa. So it's not like you have Rory or Bryson who are hitting it 30 yards by him, and then he's always trying to play catch-up. Morikawa was the perfect pairing for him. Is very comfortable. He saw putts go in early. All the credit to him. Held them off. Dechambeau played great. It was a bogey-free 64, they said. And they asked him in the interview afterwards. He goes, hey, do you think that would have been good of you? He goes, yeah, I absolutely did. I thought that if I would have come out and shot at 64, I would have won the tournament. Yeah. And it was a bogey-free 64. He made some big putts for par. But I think he'd be the first one to tell you that he left some out there. Because I remember early in the round, he didn't make birdie on the par 5. And then the almost drivable par 4 for him that's 340-something yards.
He made par.
He made par as well. So, he definitely left some shots out there. He putted really well.
He said that. He was like, I putted on that. I watched that interview, and he said something about, I thought it was weird. I didn't understand what he was saying. He goes, I guess he put so much on his driver because he was like, I had my B game, but I putted A+. I was chipping, I was A+.
For sure.
Everything he said was A+, but then he was like, I had my B game. The one thing that bothers me about him is he said something like, I thought my B game was good enough to win. I thought it would have been good enough to win having my B game. I don't understand that. Maybe he meant just driving the ball, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He hit a real lucky break. I think it was 16. I saw a highlight. He had a terrible shot, hit a tree, bounced right in the middle of the fairway, and made birdie. So I guess, it probably did, that whole making birdie and then, not making it on the par 5. It probably all balanced out. And like you said, he putted unbelievable. He never putts that well. Yeah. So, but no, I think on the back 9, I think you said he was the betting favorite at that point. When Hovland tied it or got it to within 1, and then Xander
took the lead.
He took the lead by 1, right?
As Xander was finishing a hole,
you would have thought he looked dialed in. He was making his putts, hitting really, really good iron shots in the greens. You thought, especially with the history of Xander, that Hovland was going to end up winning.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So I like Victor Hovland a lot. We've talked about it. I was betting him last year to win some majors, of course, and he just hasn't broken through. And then of course he wins the PGA. Was that 2 years ago? Because Rory won it this last year, right? Or did he win it last year?
Let's see.
I believe Rory won it in 2023. Hovland won it in 2022, if I remember correctly. Regardless, I'm curious what you think of Victor Hovland in terms of okay, he was this young, up-and-coming golfer who I think a lot of people like, and finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd at the British Open.
So funny enough, we actually talked about this. He hasn't won a major yet. He got it tied for 2nd, Hovland.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's never won.
So you're saying he didn't. Yeah, I always forget. I always thought he won that one, but he got 2nd.
He got 2nd.
He played really well.
He played really good. I think he was the leader. Him and Rory maybe were tied going in. They were together that last group. But, yeah, he's played really, really good. And every time I think, okay, he's going to break through, he just doesn't do it. This was a perfect opportunity. He was the betting favorite. I was watching the live odds, just monitoring them for, entertainment purposes. And I think Xander had been the leader all day. Hovland took the lead. I think went 20 under, and Xander was still 19, or maybe it was 18 and 19.
Yeah,
regardless.
I think it was 18, 19. But 18, 19. Whatever.
And then I think Hovland bogeyed a hole not too long after that. Something happened, or Xander birdied it, and then Hovland just parred all the way through. Regardless, do you think Hovland, because he's been really bad this season, and nobody thought he was going to compete for this, and out of nowhere, he still shot, or he was shooting 6 under going to the last hole. He ended up bogeying it because after he missed the birdie putt, he was just completely gone. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But do you think he's going to break through? Also, I'm curious your thoughts just on, like, in terms of golfing. They talked a lot about him having, like, changed his swing coach, like, 4 times in the last year.
That's what happened.
Going into this tournament, he went back to the other dude, flew out to Vegas for one day, and they were like, it took 30 minutes for him to feel like he was hitting it good again, and it showed.
Was it Butch? I don't know who I know Butch Harmon's out in Vegas. I don't know who his coach is, but who he went back to. But yeah, no, it's the classic tale of golfers trying to do too much. Victor Hovland was playing out of his mind last year, and then he decided, oh no, I can go get new ideas and tinker new ideas and become even better and get over the hump. It's the dumbest thing in the world you can do. Andy North, and I think someone else was talking about, is like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, what are you doing? You're playing out of your mind. I do believe with him going back to the old swing coach when he was playing that good at the end of last year.
Joe Mayo is the name of the coach.
So whoever the guy is, going back to his comfort level and realizing that he's not just going to go out and become like a shot and a half better with a new coach or whatever he's trying to do because he was playing so good.
So good.
Golfers are just neurotic, and this is what they do.
Do you think he's going to break through now?
Yeah, he'll win. I'm not going to say he'll win a major this year because there's 2 majors left.
Right.
But the next 2 and the 4 next year, he'll win one of those 6 majors, in my opinion. I think he's going to be that good.
I mean, he was like the shining star coming up on the tour.
Yeah.
And
that's if he doesn't leave to LIV, because there's been all kinds of
controversy.
And if Rory, here's the thing, if Rory leaves to LIV, I think Hovland's the next one out the door if they're offering him that amount of money. Because it's not like, Hovland's a great golfer, but it's not like he's going to be remembered in the history books for winning a shit ton of majors. So why would you not take the money?
So question then.
And Rory hadn't won fucking 10 years. So.
I get why Rory would do it. We had this discussion when we were golfing together last week where you were telling me like if somebody offers you $700 million, like regardless of how much money you have, unless you're like Tiger Woods, it just doesn't, it's almost impossible to say no. However, I have 2 like kind of counters to that, and I'm curious your thoughts, which is, you look at a guy like Jon Rahm, who was just at the top of his game, won the Masters, and, goes to LIV. And basically, I've heard a lot of people kind of say this, golf people, when I listen to some of those podcasts, like, he was sold a bill of goods thinking he was going to go to LIV, get a ton of money, and pretty quickly they were going to go back to being able to play on the PGA Tour. That hasn't happened. He talked about it, how he missed some of the courses they play in the PGA. He's gotten a lot of heat from fans. Like, I've heard that he really takes it hard. Like, when, fans are yelling at the LIV players a lot of the time. Like, Brooks Koepka doesn't give a shit. Bryson Dechambeau doesn't give a shit. But Rahm has always been a very likable guy and not really controversial in any way. He's very kind of soft-spoken. I've always liked Jon Rahm. But do you think that is a deterrent for a guy like Victor Hovland, who sees a guy like Jon Rahm, who had already won a major, who is more accomplished than Hovland, in his prime, goes to LIV and just has absolutely mentally fallen apart?
Yeah, Jon Rahm will get it back for sure. He's too talented not to. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely a deterrent, and guys think about it. It's just, man, when you're getting offered Hovland, Rahm, I think got $600 million. So you think, I bet Hovland will get like $300 million. They say Rory will get like $700 million to go.
That's crazy.
The fact of the matter is even eventually, man, especially with all these guys going, that's the pitch. It's like, as soon as Rory and Hovland go over there, they're good. There's going to be no choice but
to merge.
To let them come over and play PGA events. The hands will be forced because you lose 80% of the talent. The PGA Tour is not going to be like, no, we don't want them back, because the ratings at that point, dude, when it's none of those guys playing, the ratings will plummet.
At that point,
now you still have Rory, and you have these guys that are Scotty and whatnot, but I mean, we're going to have, if they all leave, we're going to have Scotty Scheffler. First of all, he always wins, but then, like, against those guys without Hovland, without Hovland, without Rory when he leaves, that's what everybody suspects. No more Rahm, no Cam Smith, no DJ, no Koepka. And then
a lot of the entertaining guys.
Ludwig is probably, I mean.
You think he's going to go too?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, if everybody else on his Ryder Cup team goes, if Hovland and Rory and Rahm's already there, probably. Why would you not take – and Ludwig's a rising star, but I guarantee they give him – if they're paying those guys, they're going to give him $200 or $300 million. He's like the next big name in golf. So it's like I said –
He was disappointing.
Yeah, once this got rolling – I was thinking at the beginning like no one was going to go, but then as soon as people started going, it was always going to be the snowball effect. And then now you have the PGA Tour commissioner going, oh, well, no, it's, doubling back and then letting the Saudi, the PIF or whatever the investment fund's called, come in and throw money in the PGA Tour, and it's made the purses higher. And you have guys going like Jay Monahan 6 months before this said, you're taking Saudi blood money. Keep in mind, these are the people that were behind 9/11. Said that. Next thing you know, he's in business with them. You're like, fuck you, dude. I'm going to go take my $300 million.
It kind of sucks because, like, as somebody from the outside, I don't want to root for the LIV guys. Like, I don't dislike them. Like, I'm not like, I'm not thinking like, oh, you piece of shit for going to LIV or anything like that. But I kind of like the loyalty of the guys who stayed on the PGA Tour. I do think it's kind of selling out. That said, if I was presented with that opportunity, I don't know what I would do, but staring down the face of $500 million, that's a very hard thing to say. And Dustin Johnson talks about that. Like, he's like, I don't care. Like, this is about, I can have generational wealth for my family forever if I take this deal. Like, I'm a major champion already. What does it fucking matter? And he's right.
The final nail in the coffin, apparently, with Rory going is what people are saying. And it's not been confirmed, but with him going, obviously him filing divorce seems, a lot of people think like that's a big indicator that he is that he tried to get back on the player-led, like, PGA, I forget what they're called, like the rules group or whoever's on the committee. It's like Tiger, Spieth, and I'm making up the names. It's like Tiger, Spieth for sure, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, like all these Americans, and Rory was like, okay, well, I guess I want to come back on. And they were like, no. They wouldn't let him back on the board because Rory sees the game being more international.
Right.
And he's saying they have to adopt that. And those guys are like, no, we can play in America like we always have, and we can make it work. But as soon as they lose Rory, man, I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really hard because then you think Hovland's got to go. You think he's going to go too if Rory goes. It's just probably going to happen. And I think Rory is definitely a different story. And I'm sure his peers somewhat call him out about it in the sense that, like, say he had won 4 or 5 majors in this last 10 years where he's won 0, he definitely stays in place for legacy.
Of course.
Because then, he's got the potential to finish, like, up there with, like, Arnold Palmer or guys that, have that many majors where it's like, okay, you're in, obviously he was going to catch Jack or Tiger, but,
Okay, so then let's say Rory does go. You have guys like, especially Americans, because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, the only major Americans who are, like, at the top of their game to go were, like, really, really Brooks Koepka, and I guess you could say Bryson DeChambeau, but he was kind of having struggles when he went over there.
Yeah, he was kind of in the middle of, like, he went with the just try to hit the ball as far as I could and then realized, like, okay, this isn't going to result in ultimate success. I need to dial it back. I want to hit it far, but I need to dial it back and not look like a bodybuilder on the golf course.
It's crazy. But so you have guys like Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, all these guys, Colin Morikawa. Do you think Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, who have been there for a long time?
They're never leaving. Those guys are going to stay. Because they're not going to get – I say they're never leaving. Obviously, there's a scenario where they could. But the fact is that Ricky, when he was fighting for his life and his tour card, passed up on, like, I think the speculation was like $100 million from LIV that he could have had. And instead of fighting for his PGA Tour card and stayed. And I think that goes into it where it's like too much respect for him. And I just don't think Spieth or Thomas are the kind of guys that want to leave. They're set up for life. Obviously, sure, it would be nice to get another, but they're not going to get the kind of money that some of these other Europeans got anyway, right? So I just don't see that happening unless everybody just jumps and then they hear
that's the
PGA Tour go,
right,
well, we're going to merge next year. And if, like, LIV's offering you $100 million, okay, well, then take the $100 million.
But then at that point, why would LIV continue to offer people?
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
But who knows? The Saudis are just strange the way they do it. I feel like they want to just show that they're the big swinging dicks in the room, and they're like, no, we can just buy anything we want. Yeah. So it's like.
It's almost like they just want to flex that they just took everybody and took over golf just by essentially writing blank checks, which is what they've done.
And this money's nothing. It comes out of the ground for them in less than, 24. It makes zero difference.